What's up everyone, Trinity here, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about the recent news of Misty Copeland's retirement from I was about to say Alabama, from the American Ballet Theater, and plus a little of my thoughts on it. If that's something you're interested in, stay tuned. Honestly, I put this in a response over on Threads to Misty about how just randomly in the past couple of months I have literally thought about the situation of Misty Copeland retiring. What I did not realize until I read an article or a little blurb maybe a few weeks before the announcement of her retirement actually hit the news is that she'd been on hiatus for 5 years. Now I'd realized that I'd not seen her that much, but I have to tell you, learning that piece of information really just gave me so much inspiration. It was like a little hug, I was like, wow, Misty is super incredible. And so for her to have stepped away for 5 years now, and I knew she was going to come back, right? I'm like, wow, that in itself is just so inspiring. And it helped to, just give me a little more oomph with myself, my training, my own professional ballet career. The next thing is that, however, when the news actually broke, I was like, it made me feel so many different things, right? But above all, I realized that Misty Copeland announcing her retirement is a blaring clarion call that the dance world, even the world of ballet, is shifting. It is shifting because I believe it is getting back into alignment. Since 2020, per my own personal observation, I felt like dance had really just become professional dance. That is, it had really just become way too integrated with culture. And what I mean by that is going with trends and going with different movements that sort of began to taint the beauty, the exclusivity of the craft itself. And even back in 2020, I personally had a run-in with this with my company, with training, and I'm like, wow, man, people feel like they don't know which way to turn, but there is a space for professional dance to get back to, because dance is just such a beautiful art form, and it is an art form that informs the person who is just furthest away from knowing anything about dance. So when I heard Misty was retiring, although it was sad to me, because the people that I love in dance, I want them to dance forever. It's just like when I found out that Linda Celeste Sims retired, I was like, what? She can't retire? It is Auntie Linda, you know what I mean? But like I said earlier, it's also a clarion call, I believe, to just signify us that the world of dance is really coming back to a place of that beauty, that regality, that place where it was when Misha was dancing, right? Mikhail Baryshnikov, when Judith Jamison was dancing. When I think about some of these legends, I'm just always so amazed at their legacies. I'm just always so amazed of how they transcended, just beyond the field of dance, but they were able to inspire people in different fields. And a little beyond that, that's just a little small example, is the space and the trajectory in which dance is getting back to, okay? Another thing I want to say is that I definitely read the article from New York Times, and then I saw little clips here and there, and I could tell that Misty she just seemed so relaxed in who she is, where she is in her life right now, which is super duper great. But I also wrote an article from the perspective of just wanting people to really give Misty Copeland her flowers. Right? I know she settled with her decision, but the people who I've read 2 articles about her retirement, and I just want everyone to know that Misty Copeland is so much more than a Black woman in ballet advocating for Black women. You know what I mean? I spoke over on my TikTok about how I myself have had bouts with systemic racism in dance. I am featured in an article about that. If you want to learn more about that, all the links are in my bios, about me and things of that nature. And I can understand that some Black women have gone through incredibly hard things that have even caused them to just put their passion down or just kind of become discouraged. But I really want people to know, when you're writing about Misty Copeland and any other Black woman in ballet, because I've only seen it when it comes to Black women in ballet. Unfortunately, they are so much more than just a Black woman. Misty Copeland is so much more than just a Black woman in dance. And I think for her to have had the momentous career that she's had, the effect that she's had not only on dance, on ballet, but the world at large, okay? I think it's just really irresponsible, lazy, and honestly disrespectful to just relegate her career to Blackness. Now, has she informed, helped, inspired, encouraged people that look like her? Absolutely. I myself have been a recipient of that. I have a really, really old video talking about how the night I met Misty Copeland, and that was just so divine. That was just so crazy. So I'm never negating that. All I'm saying is we cannot put aside all of the other things that Misty has done. Neither can we put aside, just her resilience and the trailblazer nature that is on the inside of her. The reason it is so important to me to emphasize in this video that Misty Copeland and her career have been about so much more than just her Blackness is because, unfortunately, even today in 2025, there are so many people who automatically separate the craft of ballet and its regality, even going back to King Louis XIV, and even going back to the hierarchy thing and the classism thing. And if you did ballet and if you moved in this way, it was noted and recognized that you were a part of a certain class. Even in today's time, people are still, for some reason, comfortable with extracting Black women or sort of nullifying in their own ways the fact that Black women are here and they are a part of ballet. But something that's even more shocking is that people seem to not realize that Black women have been in ballet. So I want to just continue to put this out in the world, even as on my own platforms, so that dancers can continue to be inspired by all dancers. It does not matter who you are or what you look like. But Misty Copeland and any other Black dancer should not be this museum type figure that makes people feel like, oh my gosh, you shouldn't be here. Oh my gosh, you're so out of place. Another reason I want to harp on the fact that Misty Copeland and her career was about so much more than just Blackness is because, unfortunately, people just really have a great time with wanting to put Black women in their place when it comes to ballet. Sometimes it's almost as if we don't even have the right to engage in, imagine that, after training, after, beginning your career, that we do not have the right to engage in something as so high class as ballet. And let me just say this, I absolutely agree that ballet is a high class art. I remember not too long ago reading an article by New York Times as well, and they were saying how Baryshnikov is likely the last highbrow artist of our society. That article was so good, and I agreed with it 1,000,000%. So ballet and dance in general has to get back to that place. I'll try to link that New York Times article here as well. But I don't know why people feel that way about Black women. About 3 days ago, I responded to or left a comment under the American Ballet Theater's post, just them putting out that Misty Copeland would be retiring. And I just felt like it was really, really important for me to add my voice under that post. One, because although I know she said in the interview, like it had been her idea that she would just kind of, transition out of her professional dancing career, just kind of like silently. I just feel like not enough, the energy is not giving what I think it needs to give for your name to be Misty Copeland, right? However, I commented under and I said something along the lines of, no one will ever have the chance to forget the name Misty Copeland. She's such a trailblazer, filled with bravery and beauty. Okay, I wanted to make sure that just in case Misty Copeland saw that, she knows that she is all of the things, right? And I made it a point to even tell her that when I met her way before, or a year before she became principal. And so Although I did not see a responding comment to my comment until maybe a day or two later, someone responded to me and they said, "Do you not know that Alvin Ailey has had an organization since 1958? See, this is what I mean. This is what I mean by the previous statements I made. I learned today that whoever runs the account for ABT has since deleted the person's comment under my original post for Misty, and then they also deleted my response to the person. And you know, I get it. They probably don't want that type of vibe under their post, but a part of me feels like maybe you guys should address things and just move differently. Just move differently. And I'll leave it at that. Misty, if you ever see this, but I'm pretty sure we will meet again in this beautiful life, I want you to know that your life, your career, resilience, your bravery, okay, because let's be clear, you could have stayed at DTH. You could have. I want you to know that all of those things have just been incredibly impactful to me, so many other people in the world, but specifically all of those things about you, and most definitely when I met you that beautiful evening after ABT Classics, has marked my career forever. I know you'll be hanging up the boots, but I know you're going to be around still continuing to impact the world of dance at large, and we love you. All right, dancers, don't forget that all of my links are below, and then if there's some other links that I said that I would include, I'm going to put them in the description. As always, you guys know that my name is Trinity, aka the Dance Career Coach, and I am here for you to help you become more visible, valuable, and longevity minded for your dance career. And get connected with me, the Dance Career Coach, because you may be surprised at what you learn. All right, guys, as always, I absolutely love being in this space with you, and until next time, happy dancing.